Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge and watched the alien station grow larger on the view screen. His hands were sweating inside his uniform gloves. This was it. First contact with an entire galaxy full of intelligent life. The station was massive, bigger than any human structure ever built. It hung in space like a small moon, covered in lights and docking ports. Ships of strange shapes moved around it like insects around a hive. Jake had studied the images they received, but seeing it in person made his stomach tight with nervousness. "Captain, we're receiving their docking instructions," said the communications officer, a young woman named Lisa Hayes. She was the military liaison for this mission, which meant she was supposed to keep everyone safe. Jake hoped they wouldn't need her skills. The docking process took 2 hours. The alien computer systems had to talk to human systems, and it was like teaching two people with different languages how to dance together. But finally, the horizon's edge settled into a docking port, and Jake heard the airlock seal with a hiss. "Everyone ready?" Jake asked his crew. They all nodded, though he could see fear in their eyes. He felt it too. They had no idea what waited on the other side of that door. The airlock opened. On the other side stood 3 aliens. The first looked like a tall lizard, walking on 2 legs, covered in green scales. The second was insect-like, with multiple arms and huge black eyes. The third was smaller, almost cute, with soft fur, and a face that reminded Jake of a rabbit. "Welcome, humans," the lizard-like alien said. Its voice came through a translation device that made it sound mechanical. "I am Speaker Vex of the Crothor Empire. We are pleased to welcome another prey species to the Galactic Council." Jake blinked. "Prey species?" The rabbit-like alien made a sound that the translator called laughter. "Yes, of course. You are herbivores, are you not? Peaceful beings who prefer harmony over conflict?" Lisa stepped forward, her military training keeping her face neutral. "Actually, humans are omnivores. We eat both plants and meat." The 3 aliens looked at each other in what seemed like confusion. The insect alien, who introduced itself as Coordinator Zeke, tilted its head. "But your first contact was peaceful. You did not attack our probe. You sent messages of friendship. Only prey species behave this way." Jake realized there had been a fundamental misunderstanding. We can be peaceful and still be capable of defending ourselves. Speaker Vex waved a clawed hand dismissively. Of course, all species can defend themselves, but you are not predators, we can tell. Come, let us show you the council chambers." The next 3 days were a blur of meetings and introductions. The Galactic Council consisted of 12 species, divided into what they called predators and prey. The predators, like the Crothor and the Vex Mari insects, handled military matters. The prey species, like the Eluni philosophers and the Pritchek engineers, managed science and culture. Lisa spent most of her time with the military leaders, learning about galactic warfare. She came back to the ship each night with a troubled expression. "Something's wrong," she told Jake on the 3rd evening. They sat in the ship's mess hall, drinking coffee and trying to make sense of everything they'd learned. "What do you mean?" Jake asked. Lisa pulled out a datapad and showed him her notes. "Their concept of warfare is strange. According to the Crothor, battles last hours at most. When one side starts losing, they retreat, and the other side lets them go. Wars are over in weeks or months. That sounds good, doesn't it? Less death. Maybe. But Jake, they have no concept of persistence. I asked them about long campaigns, about tracking enemies, about wearing down opponents over time. They looked at me like I was crazy." Jake frowned. "What do you mean?" "The Crothor are ambush predators. They strike hard and fast. If the prey escapes, they give up and find new prey. The Vex Mari are pack hunters, but only for short periods. None of them have ever needed to chase something for hours or days. And that matters because?" Lisa leaned forward, her voice low. Because humans evolved as persistence hunters, Jake. We chased prey across the African plains for days, until it collapsed from exhaustion. We're built for endurance, for never giving up, for tracking something until it can't run anymore. These aliens have no frame of reference for that. Before Jake could respond, an alarm sounded throughout the ship. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Jake and Lisa ran to the bridge, where the sensor officer was staring at his screen in shock. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call from New Saskatchewan. It's one of our colonies on the frontier." Jake's blood ran cold. "What's happening?" "Wind. SAF. Crothor ships, sir. They're attacking the settlement. The colonists are requesting immediate assistance." Lisa was already pulling up tactical displays. "How far away are we?" 3 days at maximum speed." Jake made his decision in seconds. "Set course immediately. Send a message to the council. Tell them what's happening." The response from the council came an hour later. Speaker Vex appeared on their view screen, looking unconcerned. "Captain Morrison, there is no need for alarm. The Crothor raiders will take what they want and leave. Your colonists should simply comply with their demands." "Our people are being attacked," Jake said, fighting to keep his voice level. "They're asking for help." Yes, but this is normal frontier activity. Small raids happen. The prey yields. The predator takes its prize. Everyone survives. This is how things work." "Not for humans," Lisa said firmly. "We don't yield." The Crothor leader made a dismissive gesture. "Then, your colonists are foolish. They will learn." The transmission ended. Jake looked at his crew. "Take us to New Saskatchewan." Maximum speed. On the colony world, a farmer named Ben Carter watched the Crothor ships land near his town. The aliens expected the humans to run or surrender. Instead, Ben and his neighbors grabbed their hunting rifles and mining equipment. They weren't soldiers, but they were humans. When the Crothor warriors emerged from their ships, expecting easy prey, they found humans who refused to flee. The first warrior to approach Ben's farm fell to a rifle shot from a second-story window. The others retreated in confusion. The raid that was supposed to last an hour turned into a standoff that lasted days. The Crothor kept attacking, expecting the humans to break and run. The humans kept fighting, defending every building, every street, every inch of ground. By the time Jake's ship arrived in orbit, the Crothor had withdrawn, confused and frustrated. They had never encountered prey that didn't act like prey. Ben Carter stood in his fields, watching the alien ships retreat into space. His farm was damaged, and some of his neighbors were injured, but they had held. They hadn't run. "They'll be back," his wife said quietly. Ben nodded, checking his rifle. "Let them come. We'll be ready." In orbit, Jake Morrison looked down at the colony and felt something shift in his understanding. The galaxy thought humans were prey. The galaxy was wrong. Lisa stood beside him, her expression grim. "This is just the beginning." "Isn't it?" "Yes," Jake said. "They think we'll run eventually. They don't understand that humans don't give up." Quote, "The horizon's edge remained in orbit over New Saskatchewan, standing guard. Down below, the colonists repaired their homes and prepared their defenses. The message was clear. Humanity would not be prey. And if someone tried to hunt them, they would learn what it meant to be hunted back." 6 months passed since the raid on New Saskatchewan. In that time, the Crothor Empire grew bolder. They had watched humanity's response to the first attack and decided the humans were weak. After all, prey species always were. The Crothor Military Council met in their war chamber, a massive room decorated with trophies from 1,000 conquests. Warcloth X Nor, their supreme commander, stood before a holographic map of human space. "These humans confuse me," he admitted to his officers. "They defend themselves, yes, but they lack the proper warrior spirit. They use primitive projectile weapons. Their ships are slow. They will fall easily." Accent 4141. The other Crothor warriors clicked their claws in agreement. One of them spoke up. "When do we attack in force, Warclaw?" "Soon. We will take their colony of New Haven. It has rich mineral deposits we need. Once we show our strength, the other prey species will join us or stay out of our way." What the Crothor didn't understand was happening back on Earth. In a military command center buried deep under the Rocky Mountains, a woman named Kate Sullivan was being promoted to Fleet Admiral. She was the youngest person to ever hold the position, but the crisis demanded bold leadership. "Admiral Sullivan," the Secretary of Defense said, "the Crothor are massing ships near our territory. Intelligence suggests they're planning a major assault." Kate studied the star maps. She had spent the last 6 months learning everything possible about galactic warfare. What she learned troubled her. Their tactics are predictable. Hit hard. Retreat if opposed. Move to easier targets. That's been their pattern, yes. Then we don't give them easier targets. We hold every world they attack. We make them pay for every meter of ground. 3 weeks later, the Crothor fleet arrived at New Haven. The colony held 50,000 human settlers who had come to farm the rich soil and mine valuable minerals. The Crothor expected them to evacuate when they saw the warships in orbit. Instead, the colonial governor, a former Marine named Ryan Blake, activated every defense system the colony had built. He also sent a message to every settler. "People of New Haven, this is Governor Blake. Crothor forces are in orbit. They expect us to run. They expect us to surrender. But we're humans, and humans don't run from a fight. Man your positions. Protect your homes. We're not going anywhere. We're one." The Crothor bombardment began an hour later. They targeted military installations first, expecting quick destruction. But the humans had dug deep. Bunkers and underground facilities absorbed the attacks. Surface guns fired back, forcing the Crothor ships to maintain high altitude. After 12 hours of bombardment, Thexnor grew impatient. "Send down ground forces. Take the colony by force." The Crothor warriors landed, expecting terrified prey. Instead, they found humans, waiting in prepared positions. Every building had become a fortress. Every street had become a kill zone. The battle for New Haven lasted 3 weeks. The Crothor kept attacking, kept expecting the humans to break. Each day, they thought victory was close. Each day, the humans held. Ryan Blake moved through the defensive lines, checking on his people. They were tired, running low on ammunition, but none of them talked about surrender. A young woman named Emma Ross, a scientist who had taken up a rifle, summed up the mood. "Governor, we're exhausted, but we're not leaving. This is our home." "I know," Ryan said. "Help is coming. We just have to hold a little longer." In space above New Haven, Jake Morrison's ship, Relentless, arrived with a small fleet of human warships. The Crothor fleet outnumbered them 2-1, but Jake had learned something important about galactic warfare. "Attention all ships," he broadcast to his fleet. "Standard galactic tactics say we should engage, take some hits, then retreat to regroup. We're not doing that. We're going to chase them." The battle began with the expected exchange of fire. Missiles flew. Energy weapons flashed in the darkness of space. The Crothor fleet was stronger, and they knew it. After an hour of fighting, they began a tactical withdrawal, expecting the humans to let them go and claim victory. Jake ordered his ships forward. "Stay on them. Don't let them break contact." The Crothor commander was confused. Why were the humans pursuing? They had driven off the attack. That was enough for a victory. But the human ships kept coming, kept firing, never letting the Crothor fleet rest or regroup. Hours turned into days. The chase continued across 2 star systems. Crothor ships needed to stop for repairs, but every time they tried, human ships appeared and forced them to keep moving. The Crothor crews grew exhausted. They had never fought a battle that lasted this long. On the 4th day, the Crothor fleet was scattered and broken. Not from damage, but from exhaustion. Ships drifted with crews too tired to function properly. Their commander sent a message to Jake Morrison. "Human commander, we yield. We are withdrawing from this sector. You have won." Jake accepted the surrender. But he didn't stop tracking them. His ships followed the Crothor fleet all the way back to their territory, mapping every route, every station, every weakness. Back at Galactic Council headquarters, the other species watched in shock. The Elunai ambassador, a philosophical being named Elder Shu, spoke for many when he addressed the council. "What we witnessed defies all understanding of warfare. The humans didn't just defeat the Crothor. They pursued them like prey, being chased by a predator." The Pritchek scientist responsible for studying human biology had been working around the clock. Her name was Researcher Kix, and she presented her findings to the council with trembling hands. "Honored council members, I have discovered something troubling about human physiology. Their bodies are designed for endurance. They can run for hours without stopping. They can go days without proper sleep. Their minds are wired to never give up once they lock onto a goal. That's impossible." A Vex Mari delegate said, "No prey species has such traits. That's because humans aren't prey," Researcher Kix said quietly. "They're something we've never encountered before. They're persistence predators. On their homeworld, they hunted by chasing animals until those animals collapsed from exhaustion. They didn't need to be faster or stronger. They just needed to never stop." The council chamber fell silent. Finally, Speaker Vex spoke. "Are you saying we made an error in classification?" "I'm saying," Kix replied, "that humanity is perhaps the most dangerous predator species in the galaxy, because they don't hunt like we do. They hunt by being patient, by being relentless, by refusing to quit." On New Haven, Ryan Blake stood in the town square as news of the victory arrived. His people cheered, but he remained quiet. He knew this was just the beginning. Emma Ross approached him. "Governor," the Crothor retreated. "We won." "We survived," Ryan corrected. "But they'll be back. Or someone else will come. The galaxy thinks we're weak because we didn't attack first. They don't understand that humans can be peaceful and still be dangerous." "What do we do now?" Ryan looked up at the stars. "We prepare. We make sure every human colony is ready. Because the next time someone comes hunting us, we're going to teach them a lesson they'll never forget." Across human space, the message spread. The Crothor had attacked New Haven, expecting easy prey. Instead, they found humans who refused to quit, who fought for 3 weeks straight, who chased their attackers across star systems. The galaxy was starting to learn what humans already knew. Persistence wasn't just about endurance. It was about will. And human will was something that couldn't be broken by simple force. War was coming. The Crothor would regroup, would attack again, and this time they would bring allies. But humanity was ready. They had survived as a species by being the most patient, most persistent hunters their world had ever produced. Now the galaxy would learn what that truly meant. The humiliation at New Haven burned deep in the Crothor Empire. Warclaw. Vexnor had been stripped of his command and executed for his failure. The new Supreme Commander, a ruthless warrior named Scarvan, had different plans. "We underestimated the humans," he told the assembled Crothor military leaders. "We will not make that mistake again. But we cannot fight them alone. We need allies who understand the threat they pose." Within months, Scarvan had forged the Predator Alliance. The Crothor were joined by the Vryn, a species of pack hunters who resembled wolves that walked upright, and the Sectar, aggressive beings covered in sharp plates of bone. Together, they controlled 40% of the galaxy's military strength. The Galactic Council was in chaos. The Elunai pleaded for peace. The Pritchek tried to negotiate, but the Predator Alliance had made their decision. They would crush humanity before this strange prey species could become a larger threat. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the war room with her top commanders. Among them was Lisa Hayes, now promoted to commander and head of strategic operations. They're coming with everything they have, Lisa said, pointing to the star charts. 3 species, hundreds of ships, thousands of troops. By every measure, they should overwhelm us. Kate smiled, but there was no humor in it. By their measures, yes. But we're not playing by their rules anymore. Lisa, implement hunter protocols. All of them? Every single one. We're going to show them what it means to be hunted. The first human strike team was led by Commander Chris Webb, a former submarine officer who understood patience better than most. His mission was simple in concept but difficult in execution. Track the Vryn supply lines and learn everything about them. Chris took his small frigate group into deep space and began following Vryn supply ships from a distance. Not attacking, not engaging, just watching and recording. His crew grew restless after the first week. "Sir, when do we attack?" his weapons officer asked. "When we know everything," Chris replied calmly. The Vryn think in terms of pack tactics. Attack, overwhelm, move on. They don't expect someone to study them for weeks. 6 weeks passed. Chris and his team mapped every supply route, every station, every security protocol. They learned which ships carried ammunition, which carried food, which carried medical supplies. They identified the weak points, the predictable patterns, the places where a small strike could cause maximum disruption. Only then did Chris attack. His ships hit 3 supply convoys in a single day, then disappeared before the Vryn could respond. The convoys weren't destroyed, just damaged enough to need repairs. Chris's ships followed them to their repair stations, mapping those locations too. Within 3 months, human intelligence knew more about Vryn supply networks than the Vryn commanders did. And they had achieved this through patience, through watching, through the simple act of never giving up on gathering information. On the ground, a different kind of hunting was happening. The Sectar had invaded a colony world called Redemption, expecting the usual pattern: occupy the planet, crush any resistance, move on. What they found instead was a nightmare. Lieutenant Amy Chen had been a wildlife tracker before joining the military. Now, she led a resistance cell of 40 colonists against an occupying force of 2,000 Sectar warriors. On paper, it was hopeless. In reality, Amy had advantages the Sectar couldn't understand. "We don't fight them head-on," she explained to her team. "We study them, learn their patterns, figure out what they do and when they do it. Then we strike when they're not ready." Amy's team tracked individual Sectar officers for weeks. They learned which one liked to inspect the perimeter at dawn, which one always ate lunch at the same time, which one had a habit of checking certain buildings alone. When they struck, it was surgical. The Sectar officer who inspected the perimeter disappeared one morning. His body was found 3 days later, positioned where his patrols would see it. The message was clear: "We're watching you." The Sectar increased security, changed their patterns, tried to be unpredictable. But Amy's team adapted. They waited longer, watched more carefully, and struck when the enemy thought they were safe. After 6 months, the Sectar occupation force was a nervous wreck. They had superior numbers, superior weapons, but they couldn't fight an enemy they couldn't predict. Every Sectar warrior knew they might be the next one hunted. Sleep became difficult. Morale collapsed. Back in space, Jake Morrison commanded a fleet that was perfecting a new kind of warfare. The Crothor expected battles to be brief and decisive. Jake gave them the opposite. Rotation system, he ordered his captains. Group 1 engages the enemy for 4 hours, then withdraws. Group 2 takes over immediately. Group 3 relieves them. Keep rotating. Never let them rest. The Crothor fleet, trying to invade the Darwin system, found itself under constant attack for days. Human ships would engage, fight for a few hours, then pull back. Before the Crothor could celebrate driving them off, a fresh group of human ships would arrive and attack again. The Crothor crews couldn't sleep, couldn't repair their ships properly, couldn't even eat in peace. They were being hunted around the clock by an enemy that never seemed to tire. "This is madness," the Crothor fleet commander roared. "They should be exhausted." His second in command, who had been studying human tactics, explained quietly. "Sir, they rotate their crews. Fresh warriors replace tired ones. It's a persistence tactic. They can maintain this indefinitely. And we can't? No, sir. Our biology doesn't support it. We're built for short, intense conflicts." On day 12, the Crothor fleet withdrew from the Darwin system. Not because they were defeated in battle, but because their crews were too exhausted to function. Some ships were reporting hallucinations among the crew. The Galactic Council watched these developments with growing alarm. Elder Shu, of the Elunai, called an emergency session. "What we are witnessing is unprecedented," he said. "The humans are not winning through superior firepower. They are winning through superior patience. They study their enemies like a scientist studies a specimen. They wait for the perfect moment to strike. They never, ever, give up." Researcher Kix presented updated findings. "I have been studying human evolutionary history. On their home world, humans hunted animals, called antelopes and deer. These animals were faster than humans, stronger than humans, but humans would chase them for hours or even days until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. The human body is specifically designed for this kind of hunting. But these are warships and armies, not animals," a Vexmari delegate protested. "It doesn't matter," Kix said. "The human brain applies the same hunting strategies to warfare. They track their prey, they learn its patterns, they wait for it to weaken, then they strike. And most terrifying of all, they will chase their prey across the galaxy if necessary. They will never stop." In the Predator Alliance headquarters, Scarvin reviewed the reports with growing dread. The Vryn supply lines were collapsing. The Sectar occupation of redemption was failing. Crothor fleets were retreating from systems they should have easily conquered. "How are we losing?" he demanded. "We have more ships, more warriors, more weapons." His intelligence officer, a scarred veteran, spoke carefully. "Supreme Commander, we are not losing battles. We are losing will. Our warriors are exhausted, frightened, unsure. The humans have broken something inside them that has nothing to do with weapons." "What do you mean?" "They have broken the certainty that we are the predators and they are the prey. Our warriors now fear that they are being hunted. And once a warrior feels like prey, he has already lost." Across human space, Kate Sullivan received reports from all fronts. Chris Webb's intelligence network was crippling Vryn logistics. Amy Chen's resistance cells were driving the Sectar to paranoia. Jake Morrison's rotating fleets were exhausting Crothor forces. "We're not just winning," Lisa Hayes said. Kate nodded. "Good. Because the most important lesson is still coming. We're going to show them that humans don't just defend themselves. When provoked, humans hunt back, and we're very, very good at it." A year into the war, the Predator Alliance was fracturing. The Vryn had lost 30% of their supply capability. The Sectar occupation forces were requesting withdrawal from multiple worlds. The Crothor military leadership was changing commanders every few months, as each one failed to achieve victory. Scarven, the supreme commander of the Crothor forces, knew he needed a decisive victory. Something to restore morale, to prove that the Predator Alliance could defeat these strange humans. He chose his battlefield carefully. Threshold Station was a massive space station at the intersection of 5 major shipping lanes. It was strategically vital and heavily defended by human forces. If the Crothor could take it, they would cut human territory in half and force a major retreat. Scarvin assembled the largest fleet in Crothor history. 847 warships, representing the combined might of the Predator Alliance. It was a force that should overwhelm any defense. "We will attack Threshold Station," he announced to his commanders. The humans will either fight and be destroyed, or flee and be humiliated. Either way, we win. The fleet arrived at Threshold Station on a Tuesday morning, Galactic Standard Time. The Human Defense Force, commanded by Admiral Kate Sullivan personally, consisted of 214 ships. On paper, it was hopeless. Kate stood on the bridge of her flagship, studying the enemy formation. Lisa Hayes stood beside her, worry clear on her face. "Admiral, they outnumber us 4-1. If we engage directly, we'll be destroyed." "Then we don't engage directly," Kate said calmly. "We hunt them." Kate divided her fleet into small groups of 5 to 10 ships each. She assigned each group a schedule. Group 1 would attack at dawn, Galactic time. Group 2 at mid-morning. Group 3 at noon. The rotation would continue around the clock. "None of you will fight for more than 6 hours at a time," Kate told her captains. "Hit them hard, then withdraw. Let the next group take over. We're going to chase them in shifts." The first attack came at dawn. Commander Matt Foster led his group of 7 ships in a fast strike against the Crothor fleet's left flank. They fired missiles, targeted engines, and withdrew before the enemy could mount a proper response. Scarvin was pleased. "They flee already. We have won." But 6 hours later, a different group of human ships attacked from a different angle. Then, another group after that. Then, another. The pattern continued through the day and into the night. The Crothor warriors tried to sleep, but every few hours, another attack would come. Alarms would sound, forcing them to battle stations. After the humans withdrew, the Crothor would try to rest, only to be awakened by the next attack. On day 3, Scarvin ordered his fleet to advance toward Threshold Station. Surely the humans would be forced to commit their full fleet to defend it. But the human ships simply retreated out of range and continued their rotating attacks. "Why won't they fight properly?" Scarvin roared in frustration. His tactical officer explained weakly. "Supreme Commander, they are fighting, but they rotate their crews. When one group needs rest, another group attacks. They can maintain this indefinitely. And we can't? No, sir. Our warriors are already showing signs of exhaustion. We've been at battle stations for 3 days straight." Matt Foster led his group in another attack, his 5th rotation. His crew was fresh and alert because they had rested between attacks. They targeted a Crothor cruiser whose weapons were firing slowly, a sign of crew fatigue. "Their aim is getting worse," his weapons officer reported. "They're exhausted," Matt said. "Keep the pressure on." By day 10, the Crothor fleet was running on stimulants. Warriors took drugs to stay awake, but that only made things worse. Exhaustion and chemicals combined to cause mistakes. Ships collided with each other during formation changes. Weapons fired at empty space, tracking targets that weren't there. The Vreen and Sektar components of the fleet requested permission to withdraw. Their warriors were in no better condition. "No," Scarvin commanded. "We stay until the humans are defeated." But the humans showed no signs of being defeated. Fresh ships kept arriving, relieving tired crews. The attacks continued with mechanical precision. Dawn, mid-morning, noon, afternoon, evening, night, midnight, and pre-dawn. 8 attacks every day, each one hitting different parts of the fleet. On day 20, the first Crothor ship abandoned formation and fled. Its crew simply couldn't take it anymore. They would rather face execution for desertion than spend another day being hunted around the clock. More ships followed over the next week. The neat formation of 800 ships became a ragged cluster of exhausted vessels. On day 35, something broke. A Crothor gunner, hallucinating from lack of sleep and too many stimulants, fired on his own fleet. He swore he saw human ships in the formation. Other exhausted gunners saw his fire and returned it, thinking they were under attack. For 2 hours, the Crothor fleet fought itself. When the confusion cleared, 43 ships had been destroyed by friendly fire. Scarvin sat in his command chair, watching his fleet fall apart. His warriors were exhausted beyond function. Some were hallucinating. Others had simply given up and sat at their stations in a daze. "Supreme Commander," his tactical officer said quietly, "we must withdraw. We cannot win this. We outnumber them 4-1. Numbers don't matter if our warriors cannot fight. The humans have done something we never thought possible. They have defeated us without a single, decisive battle." On day 42, Kate Sullivan judged that the enemy was ready. She committed her entire fleet to a single, massive attack. The Battle of Threshold Station lasted 6 hours. The Crothor fleet, running on fumes and broken will, fell apart. Exhausted gunners missed easy shots. Tired pilots couldn't execute basic maneuvers. Ship captains gave contradictory orders, confused by lack of sleep. When it ended, 603 Crothor ships had been destroyed or captured. The human fleet lost 47 ships, most to friendly fire, from enemy gunners shooting at hallucinations. The Predator Alliance fleet withdrew in complete disarray. Scarvin himself was killed when his ship was hit by fire from his own fleet. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The largest fleet ever assembled by the Predator Alliance had been destroyed by a force 1/4 its size. But more importantly, how it was destroyed sent shockwaves through every military in the galaxy. Elder Shu addressed the Galactic Council with a grim expression. "The humans have demonstrated something we thought impossible. They won through patience and endurance. They hunted the Predator Alliance fleet like an animal, wearing it down over weeks until it collapsed." Researcher Kix added, "The Crothor expected a battle. The humans gave them a hunt. And in a hunt, the prey doesn't win through strength. It wins through outlasting the predator. But the humans aren't prey. They're the ultimate persistence predators." On Threshold Station, Kate Sullivan walked through the command center, exhausted but satisfied. Lisa Hayes joined her, looking at the debris field that had once been the Predator Alliance's pride. "We broke them," Lisa said. "Not just their ships, but their confidence, their morale, their certainty that they were superior." "Yes," Kate agreed. "We taught them that humans can be outgunned, outnumbered, outmatched in every conventional measure. But we will never, ever be outendured. We will chase our prey until it collapses. And if someone makes themselves our prey by attacking us, they'll learn what every animal on Earth learned millions of years ago." "What's that?" Kate smiled grimly. "That when a human starts hunting you, the hunt only ends one way. Either you escape and we give up, or we chase you until you can't run anymore. And humans don't give up." Across the galaxy, the Predator Alliance began to fracture. The Vryn sued for peace first. Their pack mentality, recognizing when the hunt had failed. The Sectar followed, their aggressive nature broken by months of being hunted instead of hunting. Only the Crothor remained, too proud to surrender, too stubborn to admit defeat. But they stood alone now, facing an enemy that would never stop coming, never stop hunting, never stop pursuing them across the stars. The war wasn't over, but the galaxy had learned an important lesson. Humanity wasn't the prey species they had assumed. Humans were something far more dangerous. They were patient, persistent, and absolutely relentless hunters who brought the tactics of the African plains to galactic warfare. And once humans started hunting you, there was nowhere in the galaxy far enough to escape. The collapse of the Predator Alliance happened faster than anyone expected. Within weeks of the disaster at Threshold Station, the Vryn formally requested peace negotiations. Their pack leader, Alpha Kren, appeared before the Galactic Council with his ears down in submission. "We misjudged the humans," he admitted. "We thought they were prey. We were wrong. The Vryn people wish to end hostilities and seek peace." The Sectar followed a month later. Their war master stood before the council, his bone plates scarred and dull. "Our warriors no longer wish to fight humans. They fear being hunted more than they fear punishment for cowardice. We accept peace terms." Only the Crothor Empire remained at war. Their new supreme commander, a warrior named Draknor, refused all peace offers. The Crothor had never surrendered in their history, and he wouldn't be the first to break that tradition. "We will fight until every human world burns," he declared to his remaining forces. "We are the predators. They are prey. This is the natural order." End 5. But Draknor's fleet numbered only 200 ships now, scattered across Crothor space. The military that had once commanded thousands of vessels was a shadow of itself. Jake Morrison, now promoted to Commodore, received his orders directly from Fleet Admiral Kate Sullivan. The orders were simple, but unprecedented. "You are to blockade Crothor space," Kate told him over the communication link. "Not invade. Not attack. Just blockade. Cut off every trade route, every supply line, every connection to the rest of the galaxy." "And then?" Jake asked. "Then we wait. We're very good at waiting." Jake's fleet positioned itself at every jump point leading into Crothor space. Human ships formed a wall that nothing could pass. Trade vessels trying to enter were turned away. Crothor ships trying to leave were sent back. The blockade was perfect and absolute, and it was maintained by rotating shifts of fresh crews, ensuring that human forces were always alert and ready. Inside Crothor space, Draknor realized the trap he was in. The humans weren't attacking, which meant the Crothor had no one to fight. But without trade, without supplies from outside, the Crothor economy began to collapse. "Attack the blockade," Draknor ordered. "Break through." His fleet attacked the human positions 3 times. Each time, the human ships simply withdrew, maintaining distance while calling in reinforcements. The Crothor couldn't force a battle because the humans wouldn't let them. After the 3rd failed attempt, Draknor's tactical officer spoke carefully. "Supreme Commander, they are hunting us again. But this time, they aren't chasing us across space. They've trapped us in our own territory and are waiting for us to starve. This is not honorable warfare. No, sir. This is how prey animals survive on the human home world. They wait for the predator to grow hungry and weak. But the humans aren't the prey in this scenario. We are. We are." Months passed. The Crothor economy crumbled. Food shipments stopped arriving. Medicine ran short. Colonies that depended on imported supplies began to suffer. The Crothor people, who had always been proud warriors, found themselves facing an enemy they couldn't fight. Riots broke out on Crothor Prime, the home world. Citizens demanded that their leaders end the war. How could they fight an enemy that simply refused to engage? How could they win when the humans were willing to wait forever? 5 months after the blockade began, Draknor received a message from the Crothor civilian government. They were removing him from command. They were suing for peace. "Traitors," he hissed. But he knew it was over. The humans had won without firing another shot. They had simply been more patient than the Crothor could afford to be. The Galactic Council convened for a historic session. Representatives from every species gathered to discuss humanity's role in the new galactic order. Jake Morrison attended as humanity's military representative, while Emma Ross, the scientist from New Haven, represented civilian interests. Elder Shu of the Illuni opened the proceedings. "We must address the fundamental error we made. We classified humanity as a prey species, based on incomplete information. This led to the worst war our galaxy has seen in generations. We must ensure it never happens again." Researcher Kix presented her final report on human biology and psychology. Humans are neither traditional prey nor traditional predators. They are apex predators, a classification we have never needed before. They sit at the top of their homeworld's food chain, not through strength or speed, but through endurance and intelligence. "What does that mean for the rest of us?" a Vexmari delegate asked nervously. Emma Ross stood to answer. "It means that humans will defend themselves fiercely, but we don't seek conquest. We evolved to hunt animals, not to dominate other intelligent species. We just want to live in peace and be left alone." "And if you're not left alone?" Elder Shu asked. Jake Morrison answered that question. Then, we'll do what we've always done. We'll hunt whoever threatens us until they can't threaten us anymore. We're patient, we're persistent, and we never give up on protecting what's important to us. The council debated for 3 days. Finally, they reached a decision. Humanity would be given a new classification: Apex Species. It came with responsibilities and restrictions. Kate Sullivan reviewed the treaty terms with her advisors. Lisa Hayes summarized them. We get a permanent seat on the Council's military directorate. We can't be classified as prey anymore, but our forces can only be deployed in defense or with unanimous Council approval. Can we live with that? Kate asked. It's fair, Emma Ross said. We never wanted to be conquerors anyway. We just wanted to be left alone. Kate signed the treaty. The war was officially over, but before the celebrations began, Kate insisted on a private meeting with Elder Shu and the other council leaders. Lisa and Jake accompanied her. We need to be clear about something, Kate said firmly. The treaty is acceptable because it respects our sovereignty. But understand this, all of you. If another species attacks human worlds, thinking they can succeed where the Crother failed, we will respond the same way. Is that a threat? A nervous Pritchek delegate asked. It's a promise, Jake said. We're willing to be part of the galactic community. We're willing to share our knowledge and skills. But we won't be prey. Ever. Anyone who tries to hunt humans will learn what it means to be hunted back. Elder Shu nodded slowly. Your point is understood. The galaxy has learned this lesson at great cost. We won't forget it. The meeting ended, and Kate walked out into the station's observation deck. She looked out at the stars, at the galaxy that humanity now had a place in. Lisa joined her. Do you think they really understand? Some do. Others will need reminding eventually. But that's fine. We're patient. Emma arrived with news from New Haven. The colony is being rebuilt. Ryan Blake says to thank you for everything. He should thank his colonists, Kate said. They're the ones who held the line when it mattered most. They showed the galaxy what humans are capable of. Jake looked at the 3 women who had helped win the war. A fleet admiral, a military strategist, and a scientist who learned to fight. What do we do now? We go home, Kate said. We rebuild. We live in peace. And we remember that peace is only possible because we proved we could fight when we needed to. On Crothor Prime, the former warriors watched human ships leave their space as the blockade was lifted. Trade resumed. Life slowly returned to normal. But every Crothor who served in the war carried the knowledge with them. They had hunted the humans, expecting easy prey. Instead, they learned what every prey animal on Earth had learned millions of years ago. When a human decides to hunt you, you have 2 choices: escape or be caught. And humans never stop chasing. The war had proven that humanity was the galaxy's ultimate hunter. Not because they were the strongest, or the fastest, or the most aggressive, but because they had something no other species could match. They had the patience to wait as long as necessary, the endurance to outlast any opponent, and the absolute refusal to give up once they decided something was worth protecting. The galaxy had challenged humanity, thinking they were prey. They learned, at terrible cost, that humans were something far more dangerous. They were persistence predators who brought the hunting tactics of the African plains to the stars, and in the vast expanse of space, with nowhere to hide and nowhere to run, being hunted by humans meant only one thing. Eventually, no matter how far you ran or how long you fled, the humans would still be there, still following, still coming, because that's what hunters do. They chase their prey until the hunt ends. And humans never stop hunting. The war was over. Humanity had won. And the galaxy would never make the mistake of seeing humans as prey again.